to
Such
Social
a nasty
Security
woman.
trust.
Nasty women are tough. Nasty women are smart. And nasty women vote.
America is still a great country, and it is still worth fighting for.
I'm not giving up, and neither should you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of Nasty Women Nation podcast. My name is Ray. I am here with Wendy and Kara. We are coming at you from Texas. We also have Katie joining us from Colorado Springs. Have you guys all had an awesome week in Trumpland?
Oh, so much fun. It's been amazing. Yeah. Of course, the definition of fun has shifted.
Well, we have got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about today. And again, also the definition of exciting has also shifted. But yeah, so let's get right down to it. I'd like to start off today talking about Betsy DeVos, and I keep wanting to refer to her as Betsy Wetsy for no good reason. None. But that's what keeps popping into my mind every time I say that. Of course, she has just been confirmed as our Secretary of Education. And yeah, that's a crying shame because she's, obviously always been in private school, is completely unqualified for this job, totally out of touch with anything that this department stands for. So, yeah, let's get down to it. What you ladies think. Kara, do you want to start us off?
I almost have just no words for Betsy DeVos and that entire situation. I have a lot of teacher friends, a lot. They are from, first year beginner to a friend who is a principal and has been in education for, 20 plus years. And I am yet to find a single one of them who is okay with having Betsy DeVos as the Secretary of Education. They're not all liberal. They're Republicans in there too. And basically, they're all horrified, and I trust them in their opinions there, which, as someone who doesn't have experience in education other than having gone to school, public school, my entire life through high school and then a state college, I can't imagine her being positive for our school systems at all, being as though she doesn't know anything about them or how they work. And it's just absolutely mind-blowing that not only has she not had first-person experience in a school, neither have her children, but that she doesn't have an education degree. Like, she literally knows nothing, and she bought that seat, and it just blows my mind that this is okay with so many people, and that that so many of our senators let this slide and that they let it go through. Like our Texas senators, Cornyn and Cruz. Cornyn, we really stayed on top of, and we were constantly calling and emailing, faxing his office, and he just didn't care. And absolutely, if you got a response at all, the response would be that Betsy DeVos was very well qualified, which is clearly an alternative fact.
I actually had my dad use the term alternative fact today over dinner, and I've never been more proud of that man. Because, yeah, I mean, he gets it, and I swear, Dad, I love you if you're listening. You're the man. But yeah, no, I mean, Betsy is definitely proof that if you're a billionaire, you can absolutely buy a seat in Trump's happy little train ride, if we want to call it, or his cabinet. Katie, what are your thoughts?
Well, two things. I mean, it's nobody. Well, I say nobody would disagree that she's completely unqualified, but obviously there's plenty of people who are willing to be paid to say the opposite. The one of the best things, at least on a high note, was that she posted something on Twitter like the day after, like, oh, I'm so excited to get to work now if I could just find the pencils, and just got dragged. Like, full on, all of these people were like, don't you know, teachers have to buy their own damn supplies. Like, and just all sorts of crap. And I was like, you really, in this weird alternative reality that they all live in. Honest to God, sometimes I think that they all believe that the rest of the country really, really likes them, and that that any kind of dissension or disagreement that's happening is from, people who are being paid to say that, or who don't really believe that, or it's just a minority of it, and they don't freaking get it. And on that same note, there were a lot of people who were super depressed about losing this fight, and some of the stuff that I saw on Twitter that was so helpful was that this was an unprecedented, we fought them to a tie, and the fact that we made Pence get up off his ass and come down to the to the Senate chamber to throw this deciding vote down, even though we knew which direction they were going to go. The 2 Republican senators who switched their party allegiances stuck with it and actually voted no against her and listened to their constituents for once, unlike, people like Cory Gardner, who is now going to be in the hot seat for the next 2-3 years, whatever we've got left before we vote him out of office. And it was a good fight, and I think it's really important for us to understand that we're going to lose a lot of these, but we're going to make them fight this tooth and nail for every victory that they get.
Yeah, and again, we can't just say enough about the campaign contributions that Betsy made. Wendy, what would you like to add?
Yeah, when you start looking at the numbers that her family contributed to the Republican campaigns, the only one of the senators that they contributed to who actually voted against her was Lisa Murkowski. And, that was actually pretty surprising because she was one of the ones who voted in favor of moving her from committee into the general vote. So that was actually pretty surprising. I think my favorite snafu so far by the Betsy DeVos Department of Education was the 2 misspelled tweets that have come out, one right after the other, with misspelling W.E.B. DeVos' name, and then misspelling apologizes in the apology tweet for having misspelled his name. So that was definitely entertaining. But really, I have no words. Every teacher that I have spoken to has been just appalled at her complete lack of experience, and just the fact that, she is dedicated to undermining the public education system in favor of private schools, and especially in favor of religious private schools, even more so in favor of Christian religious private schools. I mean, I'm sure she's not going to be in favor of any of the Muslim schools or any of the pagan schools or anything else like that. So really, I have no words.
Well, and she's definitely not the scariest thing that has been happening, obviously, in these past few weeks. Of course, we've got Trump's immigration ban or travel ban. And it's just turned into a nightmare, of course. That was on January 27th. He decided to suspend travel from 7 major Muslim majority countries for 90 days and suspends refugee admissions for 120 days. And of course, luckily, all of that has been halted. We've got Trump losing his mind on Twitter, claiming telling these judges, I'm going to see you in court. Like, all right, guys.
Yes, and then, I was so proud of Hillary's tweet back, the 0-3. That's all she had to write.
Kara, what are your thoughts?
At this point, it's the Ninth Appeals Court has said that it's no travel ban, no good, which I think is great. My fear is that they're just going to redraft that executive action, and they're going to try it again in a different way. And it has been pretty scary, some of the things that have been going on. I just read about a NASA scientist who was detained when he came back in the country during this, and they took his cell phone that, was a NASA cell phone.
After they made him unlock it.
Yeah, made him unlock it. And he immediately, when they finally let him go, and by the way, he's an American-born citizen, but when they let him go, he turned the phone on and had to, call NASA, be like, all right, guys, we have a problem. Because the phone was taken. and he had to be issued a new phone. And the last that I read about it, they were going through the phone and trying to find out what information they may have seen. Like, it's just some craziness, and it is scary to me and really overarching. I was watching a movie last night. It's called The Woman in Gold, and
Yes.
it was about paintings that were taken from Jewish families by the Nazis. But you get so many flashbacks to the time when the Nazis came in and invaded Austria, and it was the opposite problem with people who were trying to leave. That's what they were showing us, people trying to leave Austria. But even just seeing that dynamic was just frightening. And my husband said to me, I don't think anything like that would ever happen here. And I just looked at him like, are you nuts?
Yeah,
because it is.
I'm sure that's exactly what they thought too.
Yeah, like we're tiptoeing up to it. So it's not happening here maybe quite like this yet. But I swear to God, like, we've got like one toe on the line and we are so close to crossing it.
Oh, I could not agree more. Could not agree more. Wendy, do you have anything to add?
Well, it amazes me that we have got the administration fighting with our own government agencies. I mean, we've got the Border Patrol going against this NASA scientist, and now NASA's got to figure out what the heck that they might have found on this guy's phone. And then we've got the administration, we've got a Republican proposing to end the EPA. I mean, this after we've confirmed Scott Pruitt, who has got how many lawsuits against the EPA, only now he's the head of the EPA. I mean, I swear, it seems like the government is just trying to tear itself apart from the inside, and I don't know where it's going from here.
Scott Pruitt has sued the EPA 14 times.
Yeah, that's definitely a good sign for somebody who wants to be in charge of that.
Yeah.
But no wonder they're dismantling it.
What about you, Katie?
There are a couple of interesting things that are going around right now. I've always been super fascinated by the Milgram experiment, which, for anybody who doesn't know, the quick rundown is an experiment about obedience to authority figures, and it was a series of social psychology experiments where they take one person and put them in a room with another person, and then there's supposedly a third person in a separate room, and that the experimenter orders the first person to give what they think is going to be a painful electric shock to the other member of the experiment. And they let them believe that each time the second person gives the wrong answer, that the first person is supposed to shock them. And it was a really fascinating experiment, because what it showed is that people it's very rare for people to buck against authority and to not do things. And this was all done in '63, so it was done after the war, and it was part of a discussion where they were kind of trying to figure out, like, why people do stuff. And there's obviously a number of different reasons for it, but you look at, like, these Custom and Border Patrol people who are wildly outside of their scope of authority, and yet they believe that they have authority from the highest, part of the government to do these sort of things. And so they're willfully doing things like detaining American citizens and refusing to release them. So it's basically they're illegally holding an American citizen without, they're not going to release them until they give them their passcode. And one of the things I just keep saying is, like, we see you people. We see that what you're doing. I doubt any of you are actually listening to the show, but if you are, we see you. And history remembers the people who stand up to things like this and who say, this is an illegal order and I'm not going to follow it, versus the ones who choose to go ahead and follow it for whatever reason. You don't get remembered very fondly by history. It's not an excuse. It's still an illegal order. And it's counter to the ideals of this nation.
Well, it's stunning to me how so many people are still buying into the alternative facts of this whole situation and still believing that what he is doing is for the greater good, if you will.
The greater good.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's funny because